I love great conversations. Hi, my name is Angel Jones. Thank you for joining me on 12-Minute Convos, where I help you create a brand of your own unique real self. Listen in as I have conversations with amazing people from all over the world. Good day, Julie Finn. How are you doing on this wonderful, beautiful day?
I'm good. It's wonderful and beautiful here in Atlanta, though we still have snow and ice on the ground, but I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm excellent, actually. Like, we have Caribbean sunshine on the floor. Just saying, is it okay if I do that? Like, tell you about the Caribbean sunshine we have?
It is okay. I actually lived in the Caribbean for about 9 months, and so I was lucky enough to get to experience that sunshine on a daily basis, so I know what you mean.
Wonderful. Well, I'm glad. Well, if you ever need any, just let me know. There is that email there in our treasure chest that I can send your way if necessary, yeah?
That would be awesome. Thank you.
Julie, do tell us, which of your talents is responsible for us connecting at this time?
Well, I'm here because I'm the working mother's mentor, and I'm on a quest to support professional women as they craft work lives and family lives that they love. I'm also the host of the Working Mother's Mentor podcast, where I interview executives and nonprofit leaders, entrepreneurs, and we talk about everything from work-life balance to how they built their careers to really interesting tactical questions around raising money from venture capitalists to building a business to how they manage life as a big executive with raising kids to the mess in between. So they're really candid interviews where we learn a lot, but also commiserate and understand that the journey is tough, but we're all doing the best we can. So I'm having a great time with it and on a mission to inspire and support as many professional women as possible.
Who did you learn the skill of building community from?
That's a great question. I think from many different parts of my life where having a community, particularly a sisterhood around me, has been important. So whether that's being a part of a sorority to being a part of smaller friendship circles when we support each other going through difficult things in life, I've just always known that having others to walk this path with me, sometimes to shine a light, sometimes to follow, sometimes to carry, is really important. And so that's why the sisterhood and the community and the mentoring have all been really important facets of my life.
Where's the best place for someone that's listening that already has resonated with what you've said, can connect with you?
Probably the easiest place for them to find me is on theworkingmothersmentor.com. That's where you can find information about the podcast, including the awesome guests that we've had, and there are links there that you can actually listen to the podcast there. You can also go to iTunes. We also have a Facebook page, The Working Mother's Mentor. I'm also on Twitter and Instagram, but I'd say the easiest place to start is that website, theworkingmothersmentor.com.
No, there are the challenges to building communities. We definitely know that. We don't need to ask you that. Why will you continue to repeat the skill nevertheless?
Well, it's because I'm very mission driven. It's because I see smart, hardworking, talented women out there struggling, trying to carry the load, trying to figure out how to juggle their career ambitions with wanting to be a present parent. And as long as that's real, I want to continue to have a place where women can learn from each other's stories and examples, and not only from other women. We will start to interview men and change makers from all persuasions, because I think what we have found is that while books are great and written information is fantastic, there's nothing like the spoken word and hearing other people speak from their hearts around what's been hard and what's been easy. I think we find comfort in knowing that the struggle is real, that we're not just weak or somehow making it up, but also we find great inspiration from specific advice and strategies and tools to make our lives better and more efficient and more successful. So because I'm so mission driven around this, I will continue to build this community.
And what's one other thing that you've done consistently over the last 3 years?
I think for me, it's really been this personal development quest that I've been on. I'd say before that, my quest kind of was in different phases of my life. So, my kind of teens and 20s, it was around sort of an intellectual quest around going to school and grad school and sort of figuring out what I'm good at and honing those skills. I'd say after that, it was more of a family quest. It was around finding a partner and getting married and having kids. And it really has been in the last 3 years, now that my kids are all sort of elementary school age, that my quest has been more around personal development. What's important to me? What makes me tick? What mission am I on? Why am I on this planet? How do I get out of my own way? How do I help other people to get out of their own way? And so consistently for the past 3 years, I've invested in personal development, whether that be through having coaches, therapists, books, going to seminars, going to retreats, doing fasts, doing detoxes. I've been on this really big quest over the past 3 years where I've been willing to invest both financially, but also time and resources into being the best Julie I can be, and then trying to bring that to others.
How does that make you feel?
Awesome. Tired sometimes. The struggle is real. Like I said before, I have 3 kids. I have this company. I've got a household. I now have a puppy. There's a lot on my plate. But
what's the puppy's name?
Dee Dee. My son, my middle child, named her.
I love how you put NDD there. I have 3 children. I have the business. I have a puppy now.
Exactly. Well, she's a lot of work. I'm not going to lie. They don't come housebroken, so she's a lot of work. But I have found that the investment in myself and in my personal development and figuring out why I'm on the planet and trying to pay it forward, it matters. And so I still try to prioritize that. It doesn't mean that I'm able to put myself first, but it does mean that I put things on the calendar for me, that I make appointments happen when I don't have time, that I make retreats happen when I don't have time, when it's inconvenient. I've learned to have a commitment to myself.
Love it. Amazing audience. You're hearing it live here from Julie Finn. Again, she is the podcast host of the Working Mother's Mentor. You could definitely check her out at tongue twist, theworkingmothersmentor.com, right? Ooh,
absolutely.
I almost bit my tongue there. Yeah. Wonderful. Well, Julie, let's switch gears for a moment now and let me invite you into my time machine that is surrounded with beautiful, warm, blue Caribbean water. Julie, what is your earliest childhood memory?
That's a great question. I don't know that I can remember the earliest one, but one of the memories I have from being a child is that I loved spending time in my room listening to books on I had a little record player, because that's how old I am, with little singles, and I would listen to storybooks and kind of read along. And I remember I could spend hours by myself doing that. And I have really warm, sort of fuzzy memories of sort of lying on the floor with my little record player, my little read along books, and following along to the stories.
That's intriguing. So did you have brothers and sisters?
I had a brother. Sadly, last week marked the 1-year anniversary of his untimely death. But I had a brother, thank you, who was 5.5 years older than me. And so because of that, we played together. We played like Monopoly or board games or things like that. But he was just old enough that I was not cool, right? So I was sort of the kind of stereotypical kind of little sister who he didn't really, when he's hanging out with his friends when he's, 12, 13, 14, you don't really want your 7 or 8-year-old sister around. Now, when he was stuck in the house and it was just David and I, then we played epic games of Monopoly that would last, for days, or chess or something like that. But I did spend a lot of time on my own. I also had lots of friends in the neighborhood, though. I was the kind of kid who grew up kind of out on her bike, out all day, going around other people's houses. I definitely had that kind of childhood where you didn't know where I was for hours at a time. And we kind of grew up in an era where I think parents thought it was okay to kind of let you get on your bike and hope that you come back before the streetlights come on.
I wonder if they were hoping we didn't come back. So how do you see that memory connecting to who you are today?
Well, I think I've always been a person who likes information. I've always been curious. I was a kid. If you ask any of my teachers, I asked a lot of questions. I used to read the dictionary for fun. I used to read the encyclopedia for fun. I learned like all the different, dog breeds and just anything I thought was interesting. I like to get information about it. And even to this day, I use the public library more than anybody that I know, and not for novels. I'm a big believer in nonfiction. I mean, novels are great too. I'm not a huge fiction reader, but if I have a problem or something I'm trying to solve, I will get on the card catalog online here at home, order a bunch of books, and then go pick them up. So I've always been a big believer in sort of diving in and out of resources to find information to solve a problem or to create something new. And that's always followed through in not only kind of my personal life, but in my professional life. I've always been something of either a strategist, a consultant, a researcher. I like to give information, put structure around problems, and then solve problems with information and data.
It's fascinating, as though you were building the foundation to be the strong back, if you would, for others to be able to build upon.
Well, thank you. I never thought about it that way, but perhaps I think for me, it's, I won't say it's easy, but it does come naturally to me to sort of frame a problem and to figure out what information I need to answer that question. And so when people would come to me sort of naturally as a mentor, I did find it a little bit easier perhaps to put structure on a problem and say, but if we did this, if we answered that question, then we could figure out what to do next. And that feeds into the work that I do now as the Working Mother's Mentor, because not only do I do the podcast, but I'm a coach. And so I do group coaching, but also just for a handful of clients, I do private coaching. And I think all of these streams of things that I've worked on, from being a high school debater to being a researcher to being a consultant and a strategist, all those things I see come together in the work that I do now.
That's wonderful. If we fast forwarded to when you were 12 years old, what was your favorite song?
That was 1984. I was a huge Duran Duran fan. So that 1984 is the year 7 and the Ragged Tiger came out. So it was probably the Reflex.
All right. Yeah, you definitely have good reflexes.
Well, that I remember. I remember 1984 was 7 and the Ragged Tiger. I was a huge Duranie.
That's wonderful, Julie. Well, we've arrived at our destination, but before we get off of this time machine, there's a small declaration form. So it's yes or no, possibly a bit more. We're going to move pretty quickly here. Are you ready?
Yes.
Julie, have you chosen someone to pass on your skills to?
Yes.
Are you married?
Yes.
Do you have children?
Yes.
Do you believe in God?
Yes.
Do you have an inner circle of friends?
Yes.
Do you watch TV for more than 3 hours a day?
Never.
Oh, ooh, what about screen time, the phone and or the computer? Is it more than 8 or less than 8 hours a day?
For work, it's 8 hours a day or more, but for kind of pleasure, it's definitely not 8 hours a day.
If you, Julie, had to share with us your own unique real statement, a statement that represents Julie Finn, what would you say that is?
You deserve to craft a work and family life you love on your own terms.
Love it. Julie, this has been a great pleasure. Before you leave, is there anything else you'd like to share with our amazing audience?
Just that last statement. I think everyone deserves to have a work life and a family life they love. And what that looks like for each person is different. So I encourage your listeners to figure out what that looks like for them and to take proactive steps, no matter how small, to get them one step closer to that life. It may not happen overnight, but it is possible for all of us, no matter where we start. If anyone wants to know more about me or working with me, they can always go to my website, theworkingmothersmentor.com. And at a minimum, they can go to the podcast. It's not just for moms and it's not just for professionals. I've had feedback from dads, from men who don't have kids, from women who don't have kids who say they get something out of it. So it's a great free resource. I encourage you to go either to iTunes or the website to learn more about the podcast.
Julie Finn, thank you for being on What is Inspired by 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones.
Thank you, and thank you for asking me to be a part of your podcast today.
You're welcome. Thank you for being on 12-Minute Convos with Angel Jones. Stay tuned for more from our advertisers.
Diabetes is a mountain pandemic. It's a disease that's not acute, but chronic. Similar to this rhyming method, I have simplified the definition, the signs and symptoms, and the complications of diabetes for both adults and children in my books, Poems for Patients, A Focus on Diabetes, and The ABCs of Diabetes for Children. These books are available on Amazon.com, and for more information, you can visit my website, poemsbyaj.com. That's poemsbyaj.com.